¿Qué tal amigos de CriptoNoticias? Bienvenidos a nuestros espacios de entrevistas. Yo soy Luis Esparragosa y a mi lado tengo a John Newbery. John es CEO y cofundador de Brink, una organización sin fines de lucro para el apoyo del desarrollo de Bitcoin y de sus desarrolladores también. Y bueno, nada, welcome John. How you been?
I'm good. How are you?
How is El Salvador treating you?
I love it. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, we went to El Zonte yesterday. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we were in El Zonte yesterday too, and we were having a great time with all the Salvadorians and people from around the world that is coming here. And you were a speaker at La BitConf, right?
That's right. Yeah, I just spoke an hour ago.
Yeah. So, John fue ponente en la BitConf y estuvo hablando acerca de los retos de Bitcoin para el futuro en cuanto a sus actualizaciones y desarrollo, y vamos a estar hablando un poco de eso. So, John, let's start with the conference that you have now. It was about the challenges that Bitcoin development has in the future. What can you say about that in a short, about your conference that you're speaking at?
Well, Rodolfo asked me to talk about future consensus changes to Bitcoin, and people always get very excited about consensus changes. People got very excited about Short Taproot, and it's exciting, right? Because it unlocks so much more potential. And what I wanted to focus on, and what I wanted people to take away from, was not the specifics of a future soft fork, because there are several, and we don't know if or when they ever activate, or when the proposals will be ready. But I wanted people to think about how to think about consensus changes, how a protocol developer thinks about consensus changes. And I also wanted people to come away thinking, well, maybe the exciting thing is not the consensus change, but what people do with that, right? So we've just had Short Taproot activate, and that's fun, it's exciting. But the important thing is applications using those features and users having access to the benefits from those features. And that will take years because it's really complicated, right?
From the time that updates take place, it pass a period of time to see what people are going to do with those consensus rules changes.
Exactly right. So if we think about Short Taproot, it was proposed 4 years ago. And then there's this long period of going through community review and developing the proposal and then implementing it in code and then activating it. And that's taken 4 years. But the real work, I mean, that was real work.
It's starting then.
It starts now.
Yeah.
And wallets need to integrate Short Taproot features, exchanges need to, and applications need to. And it's really complicated. Can I give you an example, a technical example?
Maybe, yeah. So, I think we can figure out to explain it simply for our audience. That's what we do here.
Okay. So,
reading all the things that I have read about your work and other developers, that we're trying to make it simple for our readers.
Okay. Well, I'll try. I can't say it in Spanish, but
okay, but we'll help you.
So imagine that I want to secure my funds with a 2 of 3 multi-signature.
Okay.
So there are 3 keys, and if I sign with 2 of them, I can move those funds. And that's maybe more secure than just having a single key, because if you lose that single key, you've lost your money. So 2 of 3, the way that we do that currently in Bitcoin is we create an output that has 3 public keys. And then when we spend it, we create 2 signatures. So 2 signatures out of 3 public keys. That's a 2 of 3. And what that leaves on the blockchain, the footprint, is forevermore, for the rest of time.
And it's a big trace, right? With all those signatures coming in.
It's large, so it costs money. And also it's not private, right? Forever. Those signatures, those public keys,
are going to remain there in the blockchain.
They run the world since it's 2 of 3. Now, sure, we can do things called threshold signatures, where we have 3 private keys and we create a single public key by aggregating them together that represents a 2 of 3. And then when we sign, using 2 out of those 3 private keys, we create 1 signature. And so on chain, it looks like a single public key and a single signature. It looks indistinguishable from any other spend. But to do that, to implement that threshold signature is very complex. There's lots of ways to do it wrong and leak the private keys and lose your privacy or lose your coins. And that work has to be done by the application developers where they need to implement that. And it's very complicated for them. But the benefit for the user is huge. So it will take some time for those wallet developers to implement that and users to have access to it.
So what are you doing exactly on Brink? As an organization, a non-profit organization.
I founded Brink a little bit over a year ago with my co-founder Mike, and we're a non-profit. We exist to support open source Bitcoin development. It's a bit loud here.
Yeah, it's a little bit loud. Está haciendo mucho ruido aquí en la sala de prensa y estamos tratando de que John pueda escucharse lo que dice John. So
I'll speak into the microphone.
Yeah, I think it's better if we do.
So we founded Brink to support open source developers and open source development, and we're trying to solve basically three problems. One, how do we get sustainable funding for Bitcoin development, right? Developers need to be paid. They're very passionate about Bitcoin, but passion's not enough. You need to put food on the table. So we need to find sources of funding.
Where these sources of funding are coming from?
A mixture. Individuals, committed Bitcoiners who want to support Bitcoin development, exchanges, companies, a real mix. So individuals and entities. And a problem that those entities have, those individuals, is that they want to support Bitcoin, but they don't know how. They're not working in open source Bitcoin day to day. They don't know what problems need to be solved. They don't know who needs funding. And so Brink, we have a grants committee, and we're able to help those people by finding good places to put that money to support open source development. And then something that I think is quite unique to Brink is our focus on education and mentoring. So we have a grants program which is similar to other grants programs. We find worthy worthy developers to fund. The other program that we have is for new developers, like very talented developers who want to work on Bitcoin but don't have the experience, and they come to the office in London. They work alongside me and the other fellows, and they're there for a year, and they learn all about how to be a Bitcoin open source developer.
So we could say that Bitcoin development is like a good cause, like to educate developers. And where are you getting these new developers? What are their backgrounds? What are they doing right now? And why, in your experience, they want to get into Bitcoin? Why they're attracted to this?
I think it's ideological. They have values that align with Bitcoin. Right? The idea of creating a money that can be used by people around the world without censorship, without confiscation. That's a really powerful thing. And once you find that and you're able to work on it, why would you want to work on anything else, right? So our first fellow is Gloria. She joined us almost a year ago and moved to London about 6 months ago. She graduated from Berkeley at the end of last year in California, and she's extraordinary. She's a very, very talented developer, extremely intelligent, and picks things up really, really quickly, and has already made a huge impact.
Yeah, I've seen her Bitcoin course roundups on Wednesday, right? That she does, and that's good because sometimes we don't know what's going on behind the scenes on you guys. I know you're like workaholics. You love what you do. You're always working, improving what you do, and development and programming careers is one that you need to learn every day and practicing too. So these developers are contributing directly on Bitcoin Core or are planning to do, or maybe they might be prepared for developing their own applications or their own ventures or something.
So like I said, we have two programs. We have a grant program and we have the fellowship program. The grant program gives money to developers working on open source Bitcoin projects. That might be Bitcoin Core, it might be a Lightning implementation. We have someone, the maintainer of BDK, the Bitcoin Development Kit, a library. We have someone working on a cryptographic library, libsecp, to implement the threshold signatures that I was talking about earlier. So we want to fund all open source projects in Bitcoin, in and around Bitcoin.
And give them like the basic resources for them to work with in their projects, right?
Yeah, take the money issue off the table, right? Give them funding so they can work on, they can do the work, right?
But not necessarily. I didn't mean the money. I know that you gave him money and financing, but these programming resources, as you said, the libsec and those kind of things. Yeah.
So that's the grant program. The other program, like I said, is in the office. It's with me, and I'm able to spend a lot of my time mentoring Gloria, and our next fellow is Martin, who's joining us next week. And my experience is Bitcoin Core, right? I don't know Lightning implementations. I have a high level understanding, so I can't mentor people on Lightning.
I think that Lightning is quite difficult for some people, and there's a lot of standardization problems, right, between the clients and implementations.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to fund and mentor more Lightning. I can't do it myself, but hopefully at some point in the future we'll be mentoring Lightning protocol developers. So to go back to your question, yes, we want to fund people to work on Bitcoin. That doesn't just mean Bitcoin Core, it means improving Bitcoin across the ecosystem.
Okay, so John, let's get it back to what are the challenges for the future. I mean, we just updated to Taproot, so it brings the Schnorr key aggregation and the signatures aggregation. But there's maybe another thing that you're working right now that's different from Schnorr, or some kind of multi-sig protocol that is worth to know about right now?
Well, my day-to-day work is not consensus changes, right? We have a consensus change. The last one was 2017, and then Taproot was 2021. So it's not, we don't change consensus, and that's a good thing, right? We want Bitcoin to move slowly in terms of the consensus protocol.
One step at a time.
One step at a time, and be conservative, right? You don't want to break the system. But if you're working on Bitcoin, or you're working on the software project, and it's just work forever. When you're working on the software project, fixing bugs, user experience, and separate from consensus, we have peer-to-peer. So we have a peer-to-peer protocol, the way that the peers, the Bitcoin nodes, connect to each other and broadcast transactions and blocks and learn about the network. That changes more quickly than consensus, right? We don't need the entire world to implement a change if we want to change in the peer-to-peer protocol.
So I understand that, as you said, nodes implementations are always changing and improving. There's something to improve on Bitcoin transactions transmission, or any kind of information that you need to. What is currently going on right now? Because it's like a common narrative that we need to run your own node, but in the core of how people can be sure that their nodes are doing the right job. About it.
Okay, well, there are two methods
beyond the consensus changes.
So you asked two interesting questions. One was about transaction forecast. Is anything changing? And yes, there is. We're always trying to improve that. So one example is if I send a transaction to my peers, they will relay that to their peers. Get to the minus and such. Okay. What happens if I send a transaction out and it's got a high fee, and I get a block and it doesn't include my transaction? But I included enough fee. Why is it not including my transaction? Or maybe it didn't properly. Right? So maybe I should send it out again. Okay. Well, that's got a reboot cost, and you have privacy, right? Because for privacy.
Okay, yeah.
Because if I have a peer and they see that I send a transaction, and then I send it again, they know that that is my transaction.
Okay.
Right? It's a dead giveaway.
It would look like it's your transaction or that you're interested in that transaction particularly, right? Okay.
Because my wallet created and I signed for it. And currently in Bitcoin Core, we do that. We will rebroadcast if our transaction has not been confirmed within a certain time. So we can another change that we might see in the next year or two is a feature called early. And early is a way of broadcasting transactions between peers that uses a lot less bandwidth than just gossiping out as we do. And the way it works is through separate reconciliation. So,
excuse me, I didn't hear you. There's a lot of noise right here in the room.
The way that early works is through set reconciliation. So imagine you have transactions A and B in your memory, and I have transaction B and C. Right? So you have A like that, and I have C and you don't. There's a way of us exchanging messages where you learn about mine, I learn about yours, without having to send everything.
Without having a direct connection between peers. Another peer inform you about what the other peer is doing.
No, I'm talking about a connection directly between us. If I have B and C, and you have A and B, how do you even know which ones you're missing from me to ask me? Okay. Well, currently we just kind of advertise everything that we know. And that creates a lot of traffic on it's just us telling our peers, I have this transaction, I have this transaction. And then if you want it, you say, okay, give me we don't do that. We wouldn't do that so much. We use a set reconciliation, which is a lot less bad. So that's been good. And it's on the P2P. So things like that are always happening. Encryption on the P2P occasionally. There's so much work to do.
So it looks like Bitcoin is building like so many privacy layers, not only on the blockchain analysis, but as you said, on the peer-to-peer network.
Exactly.
So what are the consequences of this? Is there isn't a point that maybe the consensus could fail because transactions are like too privately, or maybe some part of the network are missing some information about any kind of transmission that some peers did? But what are the possibilities that the different implementations miss the information that other ones are sharing between themselves? I don't know if that a possibility, but I do the question so we can make this, this exercise.
Okay. In Bitcoin, we want to have a separation of those things. Right? Consensus, we want to be as separate as possible from P2P. Right? We want our consensus engine to be basically this state machine where we put transactions in, put blocks in, and it tells us is that valid or not. And then P2P exists outside that to feed into consensus. So yes, we hope that changes in P2P do not break consensus. Right? It shouldn't happen. We don't think that can happen. But consensus is a tricky thing where lots of things actually do leak into consensus. So a good example is in 2013 or 14, the database that stored the block information was changed, and that was consensus. There was an incompatibility between the old and the new databases, and that caused a short chain split. So, to answer your question, I hope not. Right? That's what we fear
why you
most.
stress test your implementations before launching it, right?
Why testing and important, and we spend so much time on that. We focus on it so much. That really is the critical thing. That's what we're missing. Good reviewers. We don't break it.
Okay. Well, John, thank you for your time for this interview that you gave us. It's very interesting to see what's going on right now with the peer-to-peer network on Bitcoin. As we said, there's so many layers on Bitcoin, so many things happening in different levels. So it's good to know that you're working on it, and it's even good that, to know that you're supporting developers with your organization, Brink. So I congratulate you. I appreciate you, what you're doing, and we're here for anything that you need to help you, even to reach Spanish-talking developers and those kind of things. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of people in Latin America studying programming right now. So because of the opportunities that they're bringing in for the future, that's ahead. Okay.
Yeah, and in my experience, I went to Argentina, and not only.
So this is your second time at DavidConf?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a mixture there in Argentina, especially, and I think in other places in Latin America, of very talented technical people who understand why Bitcoin is important, and that is such an incredible combination. So yes, I would love to see more Argentine and Latin American Bitcoin developers.
You will. Well, thank you. I appreciate all this.